The second part of the series begins by showing Sunny lying on the ground, brought there by the River King, who had presented him with a human head as payment. Realizing that it was not the head of MK, he decided to sell Sunny as a slave to someone outside the Badlands. After 6 grueling months in the River King's captivity, Sunny was finally sold to a coal lord and forced to work as a slave at a remote mining site. As the coal lord inspected his new slaves, Sunny seized the opportunity to escape. He fought bravely against the guards, breaking free from his shackles and overpowering them. However, the guards soon regained the upper hand, using their whips to bind Sunny's legs and capture him again. Despite his valiant efforts, he could not escape the mine and faced an uncertain future as a slave. The following day, Sunny is paired with another prisoner named Beji, who is known for being lazy when it comes to working, but greedy when it comes to eating. Together, they are tasked with meeting a daily quota to receive food. Anyone who fails to meet the quota is punished. During a break, Beji notices a tattoo on Sunny's back, revealing that he is a member of the Clippers. Sunny, fearing that his identity will be exposed, threatens him to keep the secret to himself. Just as they were finishing their lunch break, an announcement was made that several prisoners who had failed to meet their quotas would be executed. Horrified by the harsh punishment for poor performance, Sunny begins planning his escape. He asks Beji to find him a map of the area, and he eventually manages to obtain a piece of the exit map from the oldest slave in the mine. Feeling betrayed by Sunny's plans to leave him behind, Beji secretly informs the coal boss that he is a member of the Clippers. The Clippers are known to command a high price in the area, and Beji sees an opportunity to use this information to secure his freedom from the mining. Meanwhile, MK is undergoing training at a Shaolin monastery to learn how to control his powers. One night, he sneaks into a room and discovers a compass that he believes belongs to Sunny. Suddenly, he is confronted by the master, the leader of the monastery, who trains people with special abilities like him. The master throws a broomstick at MK, and it bounces off of him instantly, revealing his abilities. MK pleads with the master to teach him how to control his powers, so he can leave and save Sunny and Tilda. The master, already familiar with MK's abilities, tests his strength by blowing on origami paper. If he can pass through the paper without using his powers, he will be allowed to leave the Shaolin monastery. When the origami hits MK's cheek, it triggers his rage mode, and the master can easily control him. Meanwhile, the fort has been abandoned and overgrown with weeds after Quinn was dethroned. Ryder, who has now become a baron after overthrowing his father, resides in Jacoby's mansion and controls 3 territories along with Jacoby's mansion and the widow's oil refinery. He is also married to his father's former betrothed, Jade. It is revealed that after visiting the fort, Ryder also visits the oil refinery, which has recently seen a drastic profit decline due to several slaves running away, seeking refuge at the widow's residence. Recognizing this, Jade decides to meet with other barons to acquire new slaves and provide temporary gifts for the slaves who remain loyal to Ryder. Tilda and the widow were on a mission to take back the oil refinery that had been taken from them by Ryder. They succeeded in their mission, but only by causing a commotion. Along the way, they encountered Jade that trying to escape, but the widow quickly overpowered her and killed all her bodyguards. She left a message for Ryder, warning him that she would kill her if he did not return to the refinery. After returning to their base, the widow took the opportunity to lecture her slaves, who had been forced into servitude as workers and prostitutes. She promised to end the slavery system in the Badlands and replace it with a democratic system, giving them the freedom to leave or stay. However, one of Ryder's Clippers, who had been captured during the mission, said that they preferred to be Clippers and wanted to work with Baron Ryder again. The widow, upon hearing this, invited the Clippers to return to Ryder's place. But when one of the slaves spoke up about the Clippers' depraved behavior, Tilda and her subordinates confronted them and killed all of the Clippers without hesitation. As the story unfolds, we see Vale, who has just given birth to a child with the help of Quinn, who is still alive and recovering from a stabbing incident by Sunny. Quinn now lives in a former underground station, with Vale and a group of nomads who have joined him. In front of Vale and all of his men, Quinn performs a baptism for Vale's son, dedicating the child to her, who had saved his life. Furthermore, Quinn plans to make the child the heir to the Badlands under his control. On the other hand, Lydia is shown living happily with her father in peace and without any disturbance. However, their peaceful life is interrupted when two nomads suddenly appear during a wedding reception and attempt to steal the girl at the venue. Lydia comes to rescue her father, who is attacked by one of the nomads. Without hesitation, she throws a knife, killing the nomad and saving her father. Despite her bravery, her father is upset with her for taking a life, as it goes against his religious beliefs that only God has the right to take someone's life. On the other hand, the master is shown bringing MK to a room of mirrors, where the mirrors are used to access the subconscious and remember past actions. In his first attempt, MK is plagued with guilt, as he remembers a dark tragedy on the River King cargo, where he killed everyone on board while under the dark side's influence. Determined to fight his dark side, MK enters his subconscious again, but discovers that determination alone is not enough. He is constantly beaten until the master is forced to pull him out of the subconscious. As Waldo sat down to chat with the widow, he revealed that he had obtained information about Ryder's plans to meet with the 4 powerful barons of the Badlands. He warned her that this meeting could end her life, as Ryder hoped to convince the other barons to join him in attacking the widow's oil refinery. Waldo suggested that she attend the meeting and try to use diplomacy to resolve the conflict, but if that failed, they would have to fight to protect themselves. Meanwhile, Sunny and Beiji's story turns worse as he betrays Sunny by revealing to the coal boss that he is a clipper. Instead of the freedom Baji promised, they both are handcuffed and sent to fight against executioners. Despite their initial struggles, as their hands were bound, they defeated the coal merchant's executioner through teamwork and utilizing air ventilation fan and escaped to freedom. As Sunny and Beiji make their way out of the coal merchant's lair, Sunny struggles to remove his handcuffs, while Beiji easily opens them with a small bone. But their troubles are far from over, as they discover that the Badlands is surrounded by a towering wall, making escape nearly impossible. Beiji has connections and leads Sunny to a man who can smuggle them into the area. On their journey, they meet a stranger named Silver Moon, a former clipper who left the Badlands to live a free life. They learn that the coal boss is offering a large reward for their capture, but instead of turning them in, he offers to help them defeat the nomads hunting them. With Silver Moon's assistance, they can defeat the nomads and are taken to his residence. As they settle in, Beiji realizes that Silver Moon is not a random stranger, but someone with a past connected to the Badlands, as evidenced by the numerous tattoos covering his body. Silver Moon shares his tragic past with Sunny and Beiji, revealing that he was once the leader of the widow's husband's clipper and had 999 tattoos. After falling in love and starting a family, he retired from being a clipper, but his wife and child were killed in retaliation for his actions as a clipper. Since then, Silver Moon has returned to his old ways and become a clipper, seeking his 1,000th victim to fulfill his tattoos. The next day, when Sunny decides to leave, Silver Moon challenges him to a fight, saying he has never found an opponent worthy of him. Despite his reluctance, as he had no issue with Silver Moon, he realizes that the fight is inevitable. They engage in a mechanical battle, which Sunny, armed with a slaughter machete, ultimately defeats Silver Moon using his broken sword. As a token of respect, Sunny takes Silver Moon's sword and uses it as a ticket to enter the Badlands. As the sun began to set, MK couldn't shake off the feeling of curiosity and decided to sneak back into the mirror room, despite the warnings from his instructor. But as he made his way towards the forbidden room, he stumbled upon a group of men, carrying a large, ominous-looking box. Intrigued, he followed them discreetly and peered through the window to see his friend being held down, with a needle ready to pierce his skin. Just as he was about to intervene, his instructor appeared and explained that what he had just witnessed was the process of cleansing, as punishment for his friend disobeying the rules of the place. The instructor reminded him that it was dangerous to enter the mirror room without proper guidance, and that he must control his emotions to avoid losing himself. As MK grapples with the truth about his mother's death, he becomes increasingly determined to leave the Shaolin Temple. He approaches his fellow instructors, proposing that they run away together. But they reject his idea, warning him that they would be hunted. Feeling desperate, MK makes a bold move, stealing one of the origami masters and breaking into the mirror room to confront his subconscious. He finally learns the truth about his mother's death because of his dark side. Meanwhile, Quinn visits Vale's room to check on the progress of his tumor. It is known that she has been lying to him all along. She changed the result of his head X-ray with someone else's head. With no natural chemotherapy drugs available, Quinn's health is the only thing keeping him alive. The Widow hatches a plan to launch an attack on a meeting of her rivals, led by Ryder. She believes now is the perfect opportunity to seize control of the territory and rule alongside the nomads who follow her. Her plan involves infiltrating the meeting by smuggling one of her members into the stronghold to open the gates for her army. Meanwhile, Quinn leaves for the meeting, leaving only one nomad to guard the stronghold. Vale sees an opportunity to escape, sets her plan in motion. She attempts to flee through an air vent using a rope she had prepared in advance, but struggles to make her way through the vent, especially with her child in tow. Vale then changes her plan and sedates the guard with a drug in a glass of water, but as she makes her escape, she finds the door locked with a large padlock. She attempts to break the lock with an iron bar, but her efforts are interrupted when the guard awakens and stops her. Forced to abandon her escape, Vale is left with the difficult decision of whether or not to kill the guard, who has been kind to her in the past. Despite her reluctance, she realizes it is the only way to keep her plan from being discovered by Quinn. The Widow and Waldo arrive at Jacoby's mansion, now under the control of Ryder, to attend a meeting of the powerful barons in the Badlands. Despite past conflicts, Ryder and Jade greet them warmly. Before the meeting begins, the Widow has the opportunity to meet Baron Shaw, whose business is procuring slaves and whose members wear white uniforms. During the meeting, the Widow requests Shaw's support in reclaiming the oil fields taken from her the day before. Shaw agrees to the request, but has one condition. The Widow must swear not to provide shelter to slaves who flee to her territory. This is because Shaw's business is built on buying and selling slaves, and if the Widow continues to protect these slaves, it will threaten her business. The meeting of the 5 powerful barons from the various regions of the Badlands finally began. The Widow defended herself by explaining that she had only taken back the oil refinery that was rightfully hers and had been taken by force by Quinn. She promised to stop providing shelter to runaway slaves as long as the other barons acknowledged her ownership of the oil refinery. However, Ryder, who appeared to have hatched a plan with the other barons, accused her of being a cunning liar. He pointed out that she had managed to steal the baron title from her husband and had previously violated the basic agreement of the Badlands. After a vote, the 4 barons present decided to strip the Widow of her baron title, revoke her rights to her lands and oil refineries, and revoke her title as baron. Despite the push from 4 barons, the Widow refused to back down and ignited a war between them. Amid the chaos, the nomads suddenly appeared and were followed by the surprise arrival of Quinn, who was believed dead. This left everyone present in shock. As the war raged on, Tilda appeared with weapons for the Widow to survive the planned massacre. Quinn eventually tracked down Ryder, who had attempted to flee, and offered him a chance to seize power in an honorable way. However, he deemed Ryder too weak to be a baron and was forced to kill his child. Following Ryder's death, Jade stepped up as the new baron and was sworn in before the other Clippers, vowing to avenge her husband's death at the hands of Quinn. Jade, devastated by the loss of her husband, turns to Lydia for help tracking down her husband's killer. Lydia, moved by her plight, agrees to aid her in her quest and ultimately reveals the location of the fugitive, Quinn. Meanwhile, Beiji brings Sunny to meet a collector of rare items to trade the Silver Moon sword for a passage to the Badlands. At the meeting, the collector informs them the recent turmoil in the Badlands, involving powerful barons and Quinn. Sunny is shocked, believing he killed Quinn with his sword. Back at the inn, Sunny is approached by a prostitute sent by the collectors. But Sunny, a man of principle, firmly declines her advances. The woman, recognizing Sunny's character, pleads with him to take action against the collectors to spare her daughter from a similar fate. Despite her offer of any money, he declines, as it would only complicate his plans to reunite with Vale and his son. The following day, as Sunny prepared to depart, the collector reappeared with the prostitute who had begged for assistance the previous day. It seems their conversation had been overheard by someone in the next room and reported to the collectors. Initially, Sunny paid little mind to the woman, but as the collector proceeded to stab her and threaten the same fate for her daughter, he could not stay idle. Without hesitation, he engaged in a fierce battle against the collectors and their men, despite being outnumbered. Through his skill and experience as a clipper, he emerged victorious. Beiji, having no other option, assisted Sunny in reclaiming the Silver Moon sword, and together they rescued the mother and her child from the clutches of the collectors. Meanwhile, Quinn is seen holding Vale's child, questioning her about the deaths of his subordinates and the state of his illness, which has been worsening despite her claims that it had improved. As Quinn struggled with hallucinations of Ryder's spirit, revealed Vale's nefarious plan to kill Quinn regardless of his health. Fueled by this knowledge, Quinn intends to kill Vale's son. However, Vale's persuasive words were able to hypnotize him, allowing her to take her child from his grasp. Outside, Lydia and her group of clippers have arrived at Quinn's residence, preparing to launch an attack. But in the moment's chaos, Vale takes advantage, and she and her son manage to escape. Lydia, unable to locate her target, loses several of her men in the explosion and is captured by Quinn and taken to his room for questioning. Meanwhile, Vale and her son hide behind a tree, trying to evade Quinn's men. Fortunately, they are rescued by the widow's men, who arrive unexpectedly. Vale tells the widow of all the events while living with Quinn. However, instead of offering protection, the widow reveals that she has allied with Quinn and returns her to him on the condition that Quinn helps eliminate the barons, who had blamed her for taking back the Ryder oil fields and violating Badlands law. MK, having successfully evaded the watchful eye of the master, had fled the Shaolin monastery, disguised in the clothes of a corpse hanging from a tree. As he rested in a garden, he planned to steal some carrots to satisfy his hunger. Suddenly, the garden's owner appeared and began to attack him. MK, weakened from a previous fight, was unable to defend himself and was left bleeding. Just in time, one of his friends from the monastery arrived and saved him by striking the garden owner with an axe. The group then set off on their journey and found shelter for the night in an abandoned hotel that served as a haven. However, their sanctuary was short-lived as the master's men were able to track them down, armed with a detector. As they frantically searched for a way out, MK felt someone cover his mouth. To his surprise, Sunny had previously parted ways with Beiji to search for MK at the monastery. The master's men soon caught up with them, leading to a fierce battle. Sunny and MK struggled to hold against the powerful attackers, but their situation grew even direr when an iron spear killed MK's friend. Suddenly, Beiji appeared in a car and explained that he had once been a member of the master's men, but had grown disillusioned and decided to flee the monastery. He quickly sprang into action, helping Sunny fight off the attackers by stabbing one in the neck. Taking advantage of the moment, Sunny used his sword to defeat the rest of the master's men. The next morning, Beiji realized that Sunny had been hit by 5 poisons, the deadliest technique from the monastery. The poison trapped the victim in a dream world until death. As Sunny's condition worsened with bruises spreading all over his body, Beiji and MK had no choice but to take him back to the Shaolin monastery in search of medical treatment and an antidote to save him. In an attempt to find an antidote for Sunny's poison, Beiji and MK snuck into the Shaolin monastery through a back door, while the monastery was on dinner break, leaving Sunny in the car. They successfully obtained a scroll with the information they needed, and Beiji also stole a compass that had belonged to Sunny. However, their escape was thwarted when the master discovered them and ordered her men to capture them. Beiji, outnumbered and outmatched, instructed MK to harm the students, causing chaos and confusion that allowed them to escape. They quickly used the information from the scroll to treat Sunny. Meanwhile, in his dream, Sunny lived a simple life as a farmer with Vale and their son, but his past as a killer and the girl he had killed haunted him. He was also visited by the spirits of all his victims who sought revenge. As the siege on his victims raged on, Beiji was able to revive Sunny by using an acupuncture needle and a healing technique from a scroll he had obtained from the monastery. Along the riverbank, Beiji shared with MK a memory of saving a young child from being stripped of her powers at the monastery. The child, named Minerva, also known as the Widow, had fled instead of showing gratitude, and Beiji had been searching for her until he discovered she had become the wife of a baron. Meanwhile, Jade was taking a milk bath when she saw slaves and clippers fleeing from the fort. It turns out the Widow had led a successful raid, slaughtering the members of Jade Clipper. As the Widow had a principle of not killing other women, she attacked Quinn, solidifying their qualifications as powerful fighters. As a result, they cast Jade out to be used as a slave and set their sights on hunting down other barons in the Badlands. After Sunny's health had improved, Beiji took them to a people smuggling route to travel to the Badlands on a bus. However, upon arriving, they discovered that all the passengers on the bus had been sold to Cha to be used as slaves. Despite this setback, Sunny, Beiji, and MGK are determined to find a way to survive on the bus. Suddenly, they were ambushed by a rain of arrows. While in captivity, Sunny devised a plan to escape by revealing the tattoo on his back and requesting a meeting with Cha for negotiations. The Baron informed them that Quinn had aligned with the Widow and killed any barons who refused to support her at a recent meeting. It was clear that Cha was their next target. Knowing this, Baron Cha made a deal with Sunny, offering to make him a member of her crew and help her fight against the Widow and Quinn. They planned to use MK as bait to lure the Widow out of hiding by spreading rumors that MK had been found and would be sold to the River Cane. Before departing, Sunny also secretly slipped a paperclip into Beiji's pocket to use as a key to escape their holding cell. In short, when Sunny and MK arrived at the location to trap the Widow, they used him as bait, and the Widow quickly took the bait and snatched him from Chu's clutches. But as the Widow was about to harm him, Sunny appeared and brandished a sword at her neck. However, instead of attacking, Sunny unexpectedly betrays Cha by allying with the Widow. He did this after the Widow revealed that she knew the location of Vale and her child. As a result of Sunny's betrayal, Cha's Clipper members, who did not accept his decision, immediately attacked him, causing a big commotion. On the other hand, Quinn had successfully brought Vale back to his residence. In front of Lydia, he proposed marriage to Vale, claiming it would help raise Henry, along with Sunny, and intended to make the child the next Baron's heir. Although Vale was initially reluctant to the wedding plan, as he had killed her parents, she felt she had no choice but to agree to the marriage, as refusing would threaten her and her son's lives. The wedding ceremony of Quinn and Vale began without delay, with the observance of traditional customs and the appointment of Lydia as the prince's consort. However, their honeymoon plans are interrupted when Lydia arrives at their chambers to inform them that Sunny is still alive and planning to attack Quinn's headquarters. In response, Quinn devises a plan to brainwash one of his men to plant a bomb at the Widow's residence and fortify the entrance to his base with bombs as a precaution. Meanwhile, Sunny and the Widow, who had just defeated Cha's men, discuss MK's lost powers. The Widow then visits him in his room, offering him a book about the city of Azra that she had owned previously, which she believed could help restore his powers. However, he declines her offer, as the use of this dark power has led to the deaths of innocent people, including his mother. Meanwhile, Beiji manages to break free from Baron Cha's grasp and follows Sunny, eventually disguising himself as a refugee, to infiltrate the Widow's headquarters the following day. As Sunny and the Widow prepare to launch their attack on Quinn's base, they discover that Quinn's men have infiltrated their refugee camp. During the ensuing siege, Quinn's men reveal that Vale had been married to Quinn, and that the Widow had deliberately handed her over to gain cooperation in her plan to eradicate all the barons in the Badlands.